Valerie Massadian is here with us for the rendezvous, for the meeting, and we are ready to start. So please, are you ready, guys? Maybe you should applaud to Valerie that she's here.
Oh, Dennis.
Welcome. So my first question that I want to go to the audience, a few years ago in Armenian Panorama there was a film by Valerie Massadian, Nana. Is anyone see the film? At least we have one. Thanks. And you saw the film. And you are probably very anxious to see her next film, Mila, which is going to be tomorrow at 10 o'clock. No?
At 5 p.m.
Oh, 5 p.m. On 10
of
July at 5 o'clock at Cinema Moscow. And then there is another screening at Cinema Star at 11, July 11. I am very glad that we are opening our Rendezvous series at Golden Apricot 2018 and Gaif Pro with Valerie, because when she was here last time, we become very good friends. Even we are not meeting very often, but sometimes we chat through Facebook, which helps to keep the relation. And also with her new film, which she did after 6 years, correct? And she started to travel again. So we were lucky to meet again in Rotterdam this year. So, dear Valerie, I'm really happy that you are here. You are in jury now, you are very busy, but thank you for finding time to come and talk with the audience.
There's more busy than seeing 2 films in the morning. It's not very complicated.
Yeah, but what unfortunately we will not have much time. I mean, because you didn't see the film, and you will see tomorrow or after tomorrow, or the day after tomorrow, which I really strongly recommend to you. But we can have some questions after that for Nana, probably, because few people saw it. And in general, to talk about your works, your creativity process, how it is to be woman filmmaker and make the author film, because you are the author filmmaker in France.
But you make film with 10% of low-budget films. I think it's like in any country, really. I mean, in France we have more money for cinema, for now. So you manage to find, a way to do it. But you're not, they want this whole woman thing. Really annoys me first.
Yeah.
I don't want to be.
That's why I'm pushing on that.
I don't want to be recognized because I'm a woman filmmaker. I want to be recognized if my work is good. Whether I have a pussy or a dick, it doesn't, define. I mean, it doesn't. Either there's a film or there's no film. So.
Why I mentioned that, because there is the tendency that everyone talks about.
No, but this is horrible. I mean, now you can't, every time a film festival starts, at least in Europe, they start by saying, oh, we have 8 films made by women. And you're like, are they good?
Okay,
And so it's a way, it's very stupid because it's another ghettoization. It's all the same thing, this very paternalistic thing of like, good, see, we give you a space. All right, it's good. Stay there. Be there.
No,
nice.
Be
nice.
You can.
And I don't, because women made film for a really long time, and we will. And it's not, I think they're mixing up everything. They're not getting the point. Even women are not getting the point. A lot of them, I think. So
there is a very interesting tendency in Armenia. If you are looking to the young generation of filmmakers, we have more women filmmakers than the men now here. It's not about the gender, but it's reality in Armenia, which is kind of, people talk that women have less opportunity in Armenia, so on, and complain. But in filmmaking, I can really name a lot of young filmmakers who are at least trying to get financing or to do their own work, but not men. Young men are doing that much. So, but more, my question to you is more about your quality of your work, about your vision, about your, you know, when I saw your first film, Nana, I was really impressed by the style, by the technique that you use working with this small child, 4 years old, Nana. And is it cold? Super cold. Okay, then we have to reduce. And this will be more easy.
You mean the process? But
yeah,
see, I think that's, you know, more interesting than woman-men thing.
No.
Because and it's very linked. You know, it's okay. Basically, I don't, even though I'm French, but I didn't do any film school. In France is very bourgeois society. I don't come from I come from a very low income. And I start making my first film when I'm 40 years old. So really, I'm like, I got everything wrong, you know. So I can only count on myself. And I've always wanted to make film, but I had a son very young. I had to work and put food on the table and in the fridge, so I had to work, you know. And then I worked on other people's film, and then I managed to, then my son was big, and I said, okay, now it's my turn, you just go do your thing. So the process is, you know, when I talk about the process of work, people say, oh, it's incredible, the freedom. And no, it's not incredible, it's very hard. It's you get old very fast, faster than naturally. And physically, it's really, it takes a lot, because I do everything, you know, like I look for places, we produce, I work with the people, I spend time with the people, I film, I edit, I take care of the sales after, and you know, but it's not like a control freak thing, it's because it's the only way to exist. You know, and also because this kind of cinema doesn't have it. You know, it's okay for a woman to make the films that daddy is okay with. You know, I mean, when I hear that Wonder Woman is a feminist film, I want to kill myself. You know, I want to commit suicide immediately. Like, really, it's anything but. You know, so if a woman makes a film that is okay, it takes the same rule as daddy said, then maybe you find a place. When you don't, when you're the bad girl, like you don't obey. You know, I made Nana with a short film budget. I only wrote a fake short film script. I got the money and I made a long feature and a short. Normally, if your real father gives you 20 cents to go buy candy and you come back with a Mercedes-Benz, he should be happy. But the French government was not happy, because suddenly I make a film with 80,000 euro and I get awards, and it's telling them, yeah, you're giving a lot of money to people that are actually making really shitty films. So they don't like that. And the process is very slow, and I think the process is very feminine, not because it's slow, but because it's really the most important thing for me, because I don't work with actors, I work with people, is the people. I mean, you cannot come into somebody's life and say, hi, it's me, I make cinema, I'm gonna take everything from you, and then bye. You know, this I can't. And there's a lot of, I mean, there are people who do this. I call them vampires. They're vampires film. They come, they take, and they go. And me, I can't do that. So I'm still, you know, when I met Nana, she was 4. Her real name is Kelina, now she's 11, and the next film, maybe she's gonna be in the next film. And, you know, and the girl from Milan, we still, I mean, it's like a family. We still,
Yeah.
you know, because the films are built on this relation that we share.
Yeah, it's kind of, it's so close to the documentary film where you have very close relationship
Yeah.
with the character. But when it's a 4 years old girl, it's really amazing how
But
you
to
manage
me-
how you manage to do it. It was
Yeah, but for me, it was easier to do Nana than to do Mila.
Mila.
It's easier with children because I'm not growing up in my head, I guess.
So if the Nana is a 4 years old, the character, the main character, so Mila is 20 something?
She's 17.
17.
She's 17 and now she's 20.
17, yeah. 17. And it's really, when you see the first film, one film, you learn who is a director and starting to think, yeah, it's interesting, it's good, it's very unique. But then when you come to the second film, like Mila, I saw your Mila after 6 years, the most important part for me, it was that there is an author who has a signature, and you can really feel that it's Valerie Massadian did the work. Even there are two different films, completely different.
Same, but different. Yeah.
Yeah, but the way how you bring your movie, which is very, very hard nowadays to have real author film when you can feel the signature of the author. So
Because I think there's a lot of people, they don't really, it's not about cinema so much. It's about belonging and having a place in society. Me, I don't care about the place in society. I despise society, so, but I truly love cinema. And I don't, you know, and I think if I'm really, the only thing that matters to me is honesty to the people I make the film with and to myself. And if, you know, I see a lot of films that are objects of seduction more than films. They already are intended and thoughts for festival or for this or for something. Me, we make very selfish films. You know, I want Séverine, who's in Mila, to be happy and proud. I want Luc to be proud. I want Ethan, who's her kid in the film, and he was 2 years old at the time. Now he's 4. I want him to love this thing. You know, I want Kelina to love the film 10 years later. You know, and not as a memory, but as something that captured our essence and our animality and our humanity. And so it's, you know, that's why there's a signature, as you call it, a signature, but because it's harder and harder to make films. Not to make films, because we can make films. You can take it, you know, a tool, all these fancy camera, you know, now they see like 5 times better than your eye. What's the point? Like, what's the point? I don't want to see your hair on your skin, you know, I don't care. So you can make a film with any tool, you know, it's not because you have the Alexa or the Nana that it's going to be great. You can have a shitty camera and make a masterpiece, you know, and you can have a great Alexa and make a really bad film. But you have to do it because you need to do it, not because it's like a social recognition thing.
So with the Mila, because it's clear for me, for Nana, the little bit how it worked, but for Mila, did you had the story in mind, or how it's, because you work with amateur people, how you are building up your story? Because I mean, they didn't see the film. It's hard for. I don't want to spoil the film somehow, but it's interesting your technique. How did you really did some script in advance? Or?
But like same as Nana, I mean, except Nana was a short script, but fake. And Mila, same. But it was completely different because it moved a lot. But I knew there was 3 movements in the film. I knew the basic line, and then I didn't know then I had to work.
But there was a lot of improvisation too?
It's not improvisation, because improvisation is, to improvise, you have to give either you have to give a context, whether emotional or psychological, and I refuse that. And I know now why I did my first film with a 4-year-old. Before I used to say, because you say a lot of crap. Every director, when you start talking about your film after, you lie. I mean, you don't lie consciously, but you're supposed to explain with words what you did with all your soul and, and emotion, and you didn't put words, you didn't explain, because otherwise you'd be a writer, or, And so you're thinking your work. It's not a lie like you're lying, you're looking for words to put on your work. And so I lost myself. What were we saying?
We were talking about Nana and how you were creating.
Yeah, and I understood why I did the first film with a kid, because making a film with Kelina, this girl who was 4-year-old, was to play. And the not acting, not playing the actor, playing for real.
Yeah.
And le jeu, the game, I don't know in English how to say this.
Game?
Le jeu, oui, mais c'est, to play as a child, of a situation, of an action, is completely different as to play, an emotion or and that's what I did also with all of them in Mila. It's Epstein who used, I don't know if you know Jean Epstein. He used to say, if you, and if you want a kid to be good in a film, just play with him. And that's all I do. So I invent situation. I know the emotions I'm looking for. I don't care how they're going to happen. It's not working, right, the thing?
It's working or it's not working? Not yet. They will let us know.
Okay. Yeah. Because it's much better in images than in words.
For your works, it's better one time to see than talk. But also,
it's very strange to talk about a work that people don't know.
Yeah, but to learn how you are working, because I think also it's editing process of what you are doing.
But the whole, I mean, the construction, the narration, which is not a classical linear narration.
Not a narration structure.
It's built on the editing table. It's on the editing that I actually really make the film. That's why I edit myself, because it's the same that when I work with the people, I know it's very complicated to explain something that you feel only, and it's the only thing I trust is my instinct.
To pass the emotional part.
And if it works on me over and over and over and over again, and it doesn't get tired, a sequence. That's why I worked with editor at some point, and they die. They say, I can't anymore. You want to watch again this sequence that's 10 minutes? And yeah, I do, again and again, because if it's wherever my eye go in a shot, because I work mostly in fixed shots. Wherever, if I look at him, let's say there's two people in a sequence, and, your eye can go wherever, you have the choice, so you can look at him, or you can look at her, or you can not look at her at all. And wherever your eyes go, if the sequence holds, then for me, it's something I can work with, I'm going to show you things from Nana, which is the first film. I want, in this film is only this, the plot of the film is this 4-year-old girl who lives in the countryside, and the film starts by the killing of a pig in a farm, like we do in the farm in winters. and she's with her grandfather. This man is not her real grandfather, it's the farmer, my neighbor, where I live. And so all I told Kelina, the little girl, who's 90 centimeters, which is this, is to call him papi, which is grandpa in French. And I'm looking for sequences and things that will say everything about the tenderness that can exist between an old man and a kid. And every time they're talking a lot, and then things happen. And there's two sequences, and voila.
So you want to say something? Yeah.
That it's really ugly, the image, when the film is very beautiful. No, just how do you get to, to the sequence when they eat the sandwich? I mean, the sequence is very long, the sandwich, and they talk, and they talk, and they talk, and they talk, and I let them talk. They talk because there's a camera, so they're very conscious and they're scared. Well, not scared, but they, or they want to try to please me, or whatever the situation is. And then they get tired. Then there's silence. And then the thing she does with her head is something she saw me do many times, because I spend a lot of time with people. Yeah, this very delicate thing, this brutal thing. So she plays with me, but you don't know that, and you don't need to know that. And so the relation, it's all really about, you take this little girl and it's somebody else, it will be completely something else. She tried, another person tried, and Kelina said, you don't know how to make films to that person. Because the person was asking her to do this and say this and say this, and you can't. You have to, play. It's a really...
So Nana won Best First Feature Film Award in Locarno, and then after 6 years, your Mila went to Locarno again. Is it how hard it was to get to Locarno?
It was very strange. No, it was... we got very, very drunk that day because someone called, no, seriously, because I edited at home, and someone called from Locarno and said, oh, we heard you made a film, and we would like to know if you have screenings. And we didn't have any money to do screenings in cinema. I said, yeah, you can come in my living room, I can screen what, And they came because they came because, I don't know, because they do their work, And they came, it was Olivier Père, the director, and Agnès Wildenstein, a woman. And they came and they stayed, and I had put a curtain for them, especially, to close. And I know the film because I edited, so I know it's finished, and they're not coming out. And I'm like, oh, it's okay, they already came, it's big, And they came out, and they were kind of pale, because it's not a very funky, funny, I mean, it's depend. For children, they come out of Nana very excited. Adults, they come out very, and they said, okay, thank you very much, we'll get in touch. And I was like, okay. And they left. But it was, it didn't matter, because they came and then they sent me a text message. They probably separated downstairs, and both sent me a text message saying, thank you, it's finally some cinema, blah, blah, blah. And then the next day they invited the film. And it was like a fairy tale, because it was already, to have it done was, already a fairy tale. The way we did it, the freedom we had was a fairy tale. The film is a fairy tale. And so it went on.
So sometimes it's good to have very low budget, but have such a big freedom of expression.
But I think it's the only way, I think it's, the thing is, people will always make films, And then the problem is not to make films, the problem is to show them. And you know, and it's not new, you know, I mean, Renoir, when he did La Chienne, the dog, I don't know the name in English, the film will stay in the cinema for like 5 days, you know, it's not like, and now Renoir is at the Cinematheque and everybody thinks, but at the time, you know, nobody went to the movie theater. The film didn't stay in the movie theater. Yeah. I'm not comparing myself to Renoir, I made no mistake. But just to say that, you know, the non-commercial film, the cinema, you know, the mistake, I think, I have nothing against entertainment or commercial cinema, you know, but they're two different things. Yeah. And the problem is it hasn't been thought and worked on the business market and business theaters, and I don't know, as two separated things, you know, they are.
But somehow the festivals was for that, to bring those kind of films to the audience. But lately they are coming more to the commercial, successful films to show.
Also because I think this lesson, you know, culture is not something that most, especially these days, governments are really worried about, you know. I mean, I live in a place that for me is very shameful and very scary. It's called Europe, and I'm very ashamed to be in Europe at this time, I have to say. So you know, we were watching what was going on here, and it gave us a lot of courage and hope, because you don't want to be in Europe today, you really don't. All the decisions they're making. So culture is really, they don't care. Art, who cares? And they don't want people to think by themselves, and never have wanted. So, you know, so feed them with bad cinema and sell them popcorn, and then you can send them to work at the factory for no money.
So if someone thinks,
you know, but if someone starts to think a little bit by themselves, or question things, then it's a problem. You cannot send him to the factory.
Or question, what was the film about? It's not so direct understanding, so you have to think a little bit about.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's important. So if you have any questions, just feel free to raise your hand, that we can open some floor for the audience too.
Or I can show you. But
there's a question or not? Please. No? Not yet. So not warmed up the audience yet. Yes, there is a question. Please. Mikrofonov menak var.
Ես կուզենայի հարցնել ինչպես է նա ապրում եւ ինչպես է նա գումար վաստակում ապրելու համար.
I make graphic design things for cinema or for other things, and I also make the trailers for friends who have bigger budget than me. And also we have a system in France for now that if you work enough, if you work in 8 months time, if you work 507 hours paid, declared, then you can get welfare for 7 months. And in those 7 months you have to do your 500 hours again, and so it gives you a little money. And I have a block, I have a very low rent, and voilà. But I live with, between 1,300 and 1,500 euro a month, which in Paris is really not a lot.
Easy, yeah.
But then...
Շատ լավ ինչ? Փարիզում? He says that he thinks that you lives in a very good place compared to what you said.
But my
In
rent,
Paris.
okay, I have 1,300, my rent is 700.
700 գնում է վարձակալության։
And then I have a son, and then the electricity is very expensive in France. No, basically I have 200 euro to live for food, and so no, I don't live it good. But I'm not complaining because I'm very happy. I'm doing what I like to do. So I'm very privileged in that sense.
So sometimes people who lives here and never been abroad, it's a little bit fantasies around. Paris is a very good place to live for cultural, but many European cities are really expensive to live. So it's particularly when you own apartment in Armenia and you don't pay the rent, it's really helps a lot.
In France, the only people who make films, they all come from the big majority. They have rich parents, and they own their apartment, and which is fine. But so it's But there are other people that also make cinema. And I think it's a shame because it's like saying that culture and beauty and thinking only is reserved for a certain elite of people. And I think that's bullshit. I really think that's not true, first, because there was a lot of proletarian poets. I have a French proletarian poem in my film that you maybe will come see tomorrow. She was a farmer all her life. She was born in 1811, really, but she wrote poetry. So it's not true that it's only, the people who know or the people who have the education. You don't need education to be moved by something, You don't need to have read all the philosophy and have all the degree to be sensitive to a painting or to music or to opera or to whatever, It's a matter of sensitivity, and we're all sensitive animals, And then you can go and read the books and look for the films and try to understand the history. It happened and educate yourself. But, and the thing that's really troubling me today is that people actually accept this now. They will not go see something because they think they'll be like, oh no, it's not for me. I'm not gonna understand it. It's not, it's too complicated. It's not complicated. Nothing's complicated,
Okay, if there is any other questions, հարցեր կան? For me, your works are interesting because you really do very small budget, and for countries like Armenia and lesser Caucasus countries, for them to make a film with a big budget, it's impossible, almost impossible. And the young generation particularly, they should find a way and learn how to manage to bring the story that they want to tell to the screen. And that's why for me it's very interesting, both of your films to... the second one got more financing probably.
But because it's twice longer. Because it's got double.
You had the first one already successful, and now you are...
Yeah, but we're talking about 300, I'm sorry, I'm talking about money all the time.
But
it's
that's
true.
That's important
about,
because they are talking about money too when they are referring to the work that they are planning to do.
So Nana was 120,000 euro, which is for France
small,
nothing.
Yeah, it's nothing.
And the Mila is double, it's like 300,000.
So 300,000.
But the average film in fiction in France, it's 1 million, it's not 300.
Less than million, it's a small budget.
So those are budget for they're big budget for documentaries, for example.
Yeah.
That amount would be,
Yeah. But I really strongly recommend to go, and it's to see tomorrow in a Red Cinema Hall, because the now projection is in Red Cinema Hall is good. So you will see the film which was made by 300,000 euros and very artistic, creative work, which, anyway, we will
No,
see.
but
And then
also
we will
it's
talk about
more
it.
interesting to you know, because it's very hard for me to make any sense, because if you don't know the work and you don't, you know, I mean, I can talk about mise en scène, I can talk about sound, I can talk about a lot of
But
things,
we
you know,
we will
so-
talk after they will see the film.
Yeah.
They might come to the midnight.
and we can
And
do a
we
Q&A,
can-
and
we
then we
can-
can
yeah,
do
we can
midnight.
talk a lot about that. So it's kind of the trigger for people to go to see the film, and then we can have after the film more discussion. You will be all festival here.
Can I give them a present, the little film?
Yeah, yes, of course.
Okay, so I'm gonna just. Oh yeah, but it's really white. Well, anyway, we try. A friend of mine, he was an English filmmaker called Stefan Dovskin. He was an experimental filmmaker, they call him. And he was sick all his life. He had he was very sick all his life. And this time he knew he was going to die. So he called a few friends and he said, listen, I'm making my last film. It's going to be called Age Is. And I want you to give me a photograph, sound, a shot, anything you want. And maybe I use it in the film, maybe I don't. And I did this with my son and my mother. It's my mother I'm filming. And I didn't translate there's a card at the beginning, and basically it says, in Persia, when you break a precious object, you repair it by adding to the glue blue or gold pigment, so the breaks, you can see the breaks more, and the object becomes even more precious because it had a life. And voila. So it's precious.
Hartzer, Khantram.
Hello, director. My name is Lilith. I have a question. Is there any advice for me as how to please producer, how to like them when you are fighting for art, but they want your project to be more commercial, and you know you're looking all the time ways to please them, to make them to work on your project or believe in your project. So is there any advice for me from you?
See, when I don't have the answer, my love. I wish I had a magic stick and I could, you know, but all I can tell you is, you know, when I did Nana, when I got the money from Nana, I wrote the script myself, and then I gave it to the cinema center, and, you know, and then you have it. But you cannot, they don't give you the money, you have to have a producer. And because everybody thought it was going to be a short film, which I only knew it was not, you know, 80,000 euro for a short film, it's a lot of money, even in France. And so you have a lot of producers that call you. And I didn't know anybody in all this. I mean, I knew of them, but I didn't know them. And I started talking to them, and I just, I was like, okay, I cannot talk with these people. So I did my own company, very small. But at the time, we were allowed to have like a very, very small capital company. Now we can't anymore. That's why the second film we co-produced with friends of mine. But that's what they did is it's in Portugal. It's a collective of filmmakers, for example, and the company is called Terra Treme, and there's 7 filmmakers, and they work together, and they do their own production, and everybody works on everybody's film. So I think we just have to invent ways to, you know, to do in another way, and to maybe become more, you know, the way I see the way I make film, but I think at least a lot of the filmmakers that I know and love, they're artisans, No, like a shoemaker or like a, you know, craftsman, you know, it's not, it's another thing, it's something else, you know. I mean, I know a lot of, because I've traveled and I went to, you know, so I know a lot of filmmakers. And me, I know every process from the beginning to the end, and I know how much it costs, and I know how long it takes, and I know, you know. And most of the people, they don't, because they have other people doing this for them, you know? So it's a completely different way of making. And there's no, you know, the industry or so-called, there are great people in the industry that are really trying to, you know, but not so many, huh? But they are. The majority, they want to make money, you know? And I'm sorry, why do I take care of my films, for example? Why am I my sale agent? Because my film, if I gave it to a sale agent company, they wouldn't care for it. They call the festival, they say, I have this and this and this. If you take this one, I give you this one. It's like carpet selling. It's not, you know, it is. You have to call it what it is, and it is, you know. And me, and they ask for a fee, and if the festival or the museum or whatever doesn't have that money, then they're not interested, you know. For example, Nana, my first film, came out in America and toured in America. Why? Because a woman sent me an email, because I was doing my own sale, from the Museum of Art of Boston, and she was doing a thing about childhood. And she said, I would really, really love to have your film, but I have no money. I can only pay for the transportation. I said, but sure, take the film, you know. And I was very happy that it was screened in the Boston Museum of Modern Art. And Jonas Mekas saw the film there, and he has a cinema in New York, Anthology Film Archive, and they took the film and they screened the film there, and then it went around in Cinematheque and da-da-da. And this would have never happened, for example. It would not have happened because a sale agent would have asked for €1,000 or 500, whatever amount they asked for, you know, and that she didn't have it. Well, it's an example, but it's on and on like this. So if you come back to like, yeah, I made it myself. It's my little, you know, thing, box. It's called a film, and you care for it. So yeah, I've been spending the whole year doing this. You know, I do things that I really don't like to do also, but you know, it's. Otherwise, I wouldn't exist, you know? No, but seriously, I wouldn't. And, you know, the people giving money, they tell me, oh, you have to work with actors, and you have to do this, and I'm like, you make your films, and, you know. But there's less and less space for
Do we have?
So we have to invent it, you know, we have to, you know, in Europe there's a big, not big unfortunately, but there is a circuit of collective cinema, you know, and they don't have commercial necessity, they don't need to make a lot of money to function, because so they have 2 screenings, because the space is given by the commune, the town, and then you know, there's 2 or 3 people working, and it changes every 2 years. It's other people, and they have a committee, but it's a committee of people from the neighborhood, you know. And we have to think of other ways to show the films, you know. The Cubans during the revolution, they had a truck. And they would go to villages and screen Chaplin film, and you know, maybe we have to do that again. I don't know, but no, but really, I think we really have to, you know, reinvent something, because even you know, for me, there's like 3 markets, let's say. There are films, and then there's the authority thing, And then there's popcorn. And even the auteure thing is has problems now. The films, they come out in cinema and like 5 days later it's gone, it's finished. You work 3 years to make a film. That's going to be shown 5 days. What's the, you know? So we have to, and if people don't go to cinema, then maybe we have to bring cinema to the people.
That's a good solution. There is a question, and I need my volunteers to take a microphone and give the.
Դուք նշեցիք, որ ապրում եք մի միջավայրում, որտեղ մշակույթը չունի այն արժեքը կամ այն մակարդակին չի, կցանկանայի նշեք, թե ինչպիսի չափանիշներով է ձեզ համար բնորոշվում բարձրարժեք մշակույթը եւ կա արդյոք այն միջավայրը կամ երկիրը, որտեղ այդ մշակույթը գոյություն ունի։
I don't think it's an environment, I think it's the world. I don't think, unfortunately, that modern society puts culture as a highlight of human life these days. So it's not just an environment, it's, you know, it's a state of the world. I mean, when you see the way they treat people already, you know, cinema is after, or painting, or music, or, you know. When I think it should be the opposite, because it's the place where it's food for people's brain and soul, and our souls are maybe a little dry these days because we lack food for the soul, you know? I mean, yeah. Okay, so you come tomorrow and we talk to come tomorrow. It's much better. And thank you very much for having me. Thank you, Oleg, I'm really sorry. And thanks to all of you for being here.
That's fine. I just want to remind that we have here the list of the rendezvous one after another. So please take time, if you have time, to come. But also take time to go and watch the films. And today at Tumo they will have Larry Smith at 5 o'clock. So you have...
No, it's today.
Today. Yeah, tomorrow it's Arsene Khanchan. Today.
What time is that next week tomorrow?
At same time, all are at 3 o'clock.
Oh, so it's 14. You have to make it short so we can come.
Yeah, usually we are finishing at 4:30 maximum, and now we have 4:16, so we didn't spend much time. Okay, thank you everyone for coming. Շնորհակալություն բոլորին տալու համար եւ վստահ եմ, որ ֆիլմը նայելուց հետո շատ ավելի հարցեր կունենաք եւ ավելի հետաքրքրված կլինեք հասկանալ, թե ոնց կարելի է իրոք փոքր բյուջետով անել ֆիլմ, որովհետև այդ ֆիլմը գալիս է քո սրտից, խորքից եւ այդ ամբողջը այն պատմությունն է, որ դու իրոք ուզում ես պատմես։ Այս երկու ֆիլմն էլ Վալերի լավ օրինակ են դրա համար, որովհետև սիրով արված պատմություններ են։ Եվ ստանդարտ պատմություններ չեն, ստանդարտ այդ structure-ի մեջ չեն մտնում, եւ դրանով հենց այդ ամբողջ հետաքրքրությունն է այդ ֆիլմերի։ Այնպես որ տեսակ այս փոքր կարճ ֆիլմի օրինակով արդեն զգում ես, որ պատմության լեզուն լրիվ ուրիշ է։ Շնորհակալություն բոլորին, մնացածը որ աշխատանքային ձևով շարունակում է իր գործունեությունը, խնդրեմ. See you all tomorrow here. Thank you, Valerie. Thank you very much thank you, AGBU. I should always remember that to tell.